Entertainment news today. You're such a dragon gay. Everything sucks and it's no good. That comes out of Hollywood. But there's one place you can go to get all your news and info, and maybe even have a laugh or two. You know it's true. Midnight's Edge after dark is life. We'll stand for nerds and geeks, we will survive. From Star Wars to Jurassic Park, it's Midnight's Edge after dark. But MEAD never stops. We will keep going through the night as we keep up the culture fight. Midnight's Edge after dark is life. We stand for nerds and geeks, we will survive. From Star Wars to Jurassic Park, it's Midnight's Edge after dark.
Greetings, everybody, and welcome to your favorite show on the YouTubes, whether you like it or... That's right, it's time for Midnight's Edge After Dark, live, the original, the one, the only. I'm Tom Connors. We have CC Karaoke with us. How you doing, CC?
I'm doing all right. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you. Indeed, we also have Nick Weiser. That's right, he has his own theme song now, kids. That's right. Good old...
Nick Nickelodeon. Nickelodeon.
So now internet get to work. I need a version of that where it goes Nick Weiser.
Ooh, I
Nick,
like
Nick,
that.
Nick Weiser.
I would welcome that.
Yeah, I can do it. But
AI, get on it. You're already doing
somebody
a lot
will
of
get
weird
that for
shit.
me.
You're right. Someone will get it. Someone will get it.
Before the end of the show, I bet. Before the end of the show.
I look forward to it.
That'd be amazing. But yes, how you doing, Nick?
Doing pretty good. I'm happy to be here. It's it's a slow but very fall Octoberish Tuesday in Illinois. But I'm happy to be here. Happy to talk Alien tonight. So yeah, I'm alive and kicking. And hello, chat. Thanks for being here.
Yeah. Now we're not talking Alien on here, but what you're talking about is Toxic Tuesday.
Yes,
and you're gonna be watching Alien from Ridley Scott.
My favorite one of the bunch.
Surprised you haven't talked to Alien yet, but
yeah, it took a while. I'm surprised it took us this long to get there too, but we got there.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll be able to join in or not. I got some stuff going on, but we'll see.
Yeah.
But speaking of, let's get going because we have some stuff to talk about. Got some news, and let's get into that because Warner Brothers is on the agenda, and so is Adam Driver. So let's start with the Warner Brothers news. The stock is up if you're a Warner Brothers stock owner, because Warner Brothers Discovery says it's evaluating acquisition offers from multiple parties. So let's see what Variety has to say about this. Warner Brothers Discovery is reviewing strategic alternatives in light of the unsolicited interest it has received from multiple parties for both the entire company and the standalone Warner Brothers streaming and studios entity, the media conglomerate said Tuesday. So this goes along exactly what I've been telling people for a while, is last time I knew the studio wasn't putting itself up for sale. I've been saying this for how long, guys?
Quite a bit.
Quite a bit. This has all been unsolicited. Like I said, like Ellison and all these people are just like, I'm just deciding I want to buy Warner Brothers. And why have they been wanting to buy Warner Brothers? Because Warner Brothers is the best on the block right now. Nobody
I'm
can
glad
beat
it's
them,
not happening. I just remember when
even
we
at their
talked
worst.
about it, I said, you know what, even if this was real, I don't want it to happen. How many more times can these companies continue to merge with each other?
Right.
And the merging has got to stop. Some companies just need to accept that they're going to go under, and someone needs to just take their place. But Warner Bros. Doesn't need to go under because, well, they're kind of doing okay right now. They're in a better spot than they have been in many, many years. So there's no reason for them to be getting involved with the 900th merger.
And when they even have a flop at the box office right now, their stock is still going up, and it's because of this, right? And I've been saying this for a while. There's been a lot of doom and gloom around Warner Brothers, but no matter what doom and gloom is put upon them, they keep seeming to rise above. But anyway, let's see what this goes on to say here. Warner Brothers Discovery didn't say which companies have made M&A overtures, but the announcement comes after Paramount Skydance, headed by Chairman and CEO David Ellison, has been pursuing a major deal to acquire Warner Brothers Discovery in its entirety. In recent weeks, Warner Brothers Discovery reportedly rejected Paramount Skydance's $20 per share offer as too low. On Tuesday morning, the board of Warner Brothers Discovery turned down a mostly cash bid of nearly $24 a share from Paramount, Reuters reported. So that's twice now they've turned down Paramount's offers. Warner Brothers Discovery announcement, the company's stock jumped 10% in the morning and trading to over $20 per share. See, they don't need to sell it at that. They knew it was going to go up.
Yep.
Warner Brothers Discovery continues to advance its previously announced separation of Warner Brothers and Discovery Global, currently targeted to be completed by April 2026. At the same time, the board announced it has initiated a review of strategic alternatives to maximize shareholder value. Through this process, the Warner Discovery board will evaluate broad range of strategic options, which include the sale of the entire company or separate transactions for its Warner Brothers and or Discovery Global businesses, it said. Now, I wish Mikey was here. I was trying to get a hold of him. If he's going to make it, I don't think he's going to be here till the second half of the show, so we'll see. And that's a big if. He didn't even commit in any way, shape, or form. But it would be nice if he was here to kind of give us some broad global views of this. As part of the review, the company will also consider an alternative separation structure that would enable a merger of Warner Brothers and with a third-party acquirer alongside a spinoff of Discovery Global to shareholders, it said. Continue to make important strides to position our business to succeed in today's evolving media landscape by advancing our strategic initiatives, returning our studios to industry leadership, and scaling HBO Max globally, David Zaslav, president and CEO of Warner Brothers Discovery, said in a statement. Zaslav continued, "It's no surprise that the significant value of our portfolio is receiving increased recognition by others in the market, like I was saying before. After receiving interest from the multiple parties, we have initiated a comprehensive review of strategic alternatives to identify the best path forward to unlock the full value of our assets." Now, I think what that means, and please, if anybody wants to correct me on this one, I think that means that he's talking more about that spinoff again. Because that's the whole thing, is a lot of these sales have to do, if these sales happen, that means that spinoff isn't going to happen. So I think that's one of the things they're looking at, all avenues here. Samuel A. D. Piazza, Jr., chairman of Warner Brothers Discovery Board, said in a statement, "Our decision to initiate this review underscores the board's commitment to considering all opportunities to determine the best value for our shareholders. We continue to believe that our planned separation to create two distinct leading media companies will create compelling value. That said, we determined taking these actions to broaden our scope is in the best interest of shareholders." So it sounds like they already made up their mind. I could be wrong on that. Warner Brothers Discovery, there is no deadline or definitive timetable set for the completion of strategic alternative review process other than a separation transaction that is already underway, which the company has said it targeted to be completed in April 2026. There can be no assurances or insurance that the process will result in the company pursuing transaction or other outcome, it said. Yeah, that sounds even less likely too. It's in its announcement, Warner Brothers Discovery said it does not intend to make further announcements regarding the review of strategic alternatives unless and until the board approves a specific transaction or otherwise determines further disclosure is appropriate or necessary. So there you go. There's the basics of it. Now, through all that corporate talk, let's go to you, CC. What's your reaction to this all, and what do you think about it?
I mean, all right, I'm a little bit of a Warner Brothers stan. I have to admit my bias on that one. mainly just because a lot of my favorite things growing up and over the years were Warner Brothers properties, Animaniacs, for a start. So I mean, I consider them to be a healthy company. I know obviously they haven't been dominating, let's say, in recent years, but I don't consider them. I never really thought of them as a company that I thought was going to go under completely. I just, I it's hard for me to imagine a world in which the name and the branding of Warner Brothers does not exist. And I guess when I think about the idea of them selling, first of all, like why? But it's not my area of expertise, which is why I was like, yeah, if Mikey was here, that'd be cool because he's a tax guy. But my assumption is that the Warner Brothers name will carry on after this sale, right? It's just like they'd be acquired by somebody who buys the rights to their properties and to make money off of their branding. But I mean, I would assume that the actual logo and the name Warner Brothers will continue on after any sale. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, if you know differently, but so in that sense, I'm as let's say a common folk. I consider myself a common folk on this one.
Yeah.
What exactly are the ramifications of a sale in it? Because they're not just it says as it mentions in the article, there are different divisions, right? They're a multifaceted company. I mean, how would this really change the way we, as just general consumers, view and consume Warner Brothers content, right? And I'm not really sure how it would.
Right. Nick.
I would say with this whole evaluating, stop evaluating. Be Warner Brothers, be Warner Discovery, whatever incarnation you are, you'll probably still have some weird alteration next few years anyway, even if there's no merger. Enough is enough of the giant merging. Warner Bros., you're doing something right because clearly your stocks are apparently good from what I hear. Focus on you guys. Stay in your lanes. Don't join these other companies because they're going to do stupid decisions. And when they do stupid decisions, you're going to fall with them. So don't fall with them. If you're going to fall on your own. If you're going to succeed, well, run that success to the bank. All right. This doesn't need to be mega monolith on top of mega monolith anymore. As if these, industries already weren't monolithic to begin with. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to add to this. Is we just need to have Warner Bros. Do what they need to do best. Whether how we feel about their movies is neither here nor there. As long as they're back on track, which is a problem they've had for decades now, Tom. This is them being in the right direction.
Yeah.
There's no reason to now just decide to fuck it all up again.
I mean, yeah, in my opinion, from what it sounds like here, and again, I wish Mikey was here to correct me if I'm reading this the wrong way. Sounds like Warner Brothers' main the main plan going forward is to still just separate the company. They think that sounds like it's going to be the better deal for their shareholders. I could be wrong with the way I'm reading this. So I'm thinking no matter what offers they have here, unless it's something too good to be true or too good to pass up or whatever, right? Like I don't see them taking the offer because so far they've batted away, offers from Paramount that are already in the region of where their stock is. So why would they take those offers? Right? It makes absolutely no sense. So I think that Zaslav is basically saying to Ellison, like, yeah, if you want the company, you better come buy it up and do it, because I'm not selling. It doesn't sound like it anyway. And I can't foresee anybody else having a good enough offer.
I'm completely in favor of a company having individual brand divisions. It's what Disney seems to have not understood lately. It's like, okay, you want to do adult content? You branch that off to a separate logo, a separate branding. You don't put it on Disney.
That's what Fox should have been.
Exactly. So I mean, it's like I don't sit here and call it Warner Brothers Discovery all day long. I call it Warner Brothers, and I think of Discovery as Discovery. So even just on that base level of the headline right here in front of us, like Warner Brothers is one branding, Discovery is a different branding. You can be part of the same company if you want, but keep them separate. Sell them to
Well,
a
they were
different
Time
kind
Warner
of
for how long, right? Sorry.
yeah. Well, yeah. That's why I say it's like when I think of Warner Brothers, and look, I mean, as a music guy, I see this from music ownership too. Each like Warner Brothers has a distinct kind of music that they like to have in their catalog that is different
Well,
from
they're one
other
of the last
labels.
OG companies left,
Yeah.
really.
And I always thought of Warner Brothers. I'm going to use the Animaniacs example again because I always thought of Warner Brothers as like Animaniacs is the literal like characterization of Warner Brothers. They're not, says they're not as super serious as their competitors, but that's good, right? It gave them a kind of a laid back, chill kind of aspect to their product that I always enjoyed. So that is, if that's whatever that's how I see Warner Brothers. But whatever it is that you're trying to sell, people need. You don't want brand confusion. That's why I mentioned Disney. It's like you put Family Guy on Disney Plus, you're creating brand confusion, right? By having
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
you know
And I mean, it's funny that anyway, like, because your other point there was pretty interesting too. But Nick, anything more to say about this before we move along too far off of it?
I got nothing else.
Okay. Yeah, because this is a big kind of wait and see kind of thing, and it doesn't sound like we're going to hear a whole lot until any decisions are made. But yeah, but it's kind of funny that you mentioned the mixture of the music, and you mentioned Animaniacs, but I don't know if you're aware of this, CC, but like Warner Brothers is so embedded with music in the history that Merry
yeah.
Melodies and Looney Tunes actually exist because they wanted to reuse their catalog at that time. That's the only reason those cartoons exist. I'm not kidding. They were
I
basically
didn't know that, but it's
the
pretty cool.
K-tel of the time. Like they had this catalog of music already back in the 30s and 40s, right?
Yeah.
Like, how can we reuse all these songs? Like, hello, my baby, hello, my honey, hello, my ragtime gal is one of them, of course. But more famously, you had the earlier ones where they were based around songs usually, because that was the whole point, was they were basically reselling their old songs through these cartoons. And eventually these cartoons caught on, and that's where we got all these great characters from. And the Animaniacs are actually paying homage to some of the original Looney Tunes and Merry Melodies characters that existed. I mean, even Looney Tunes is spelled the way it is because it's tune, Tune, like a tune, like a song, and not a tune, Toon, right? But that's just because they took the loony part and they flipped it, the U with, anyway.
Yeah.
So like,
is that another Berenstein Bears effect? Because
no, most people don't realize it. But
Tune?
if you pay attention and you look back throughout all of history, most people just never realized it. They just assumed it was Looney Tunes with two O's. No,
well, my brain thought it was that too.
No, the Looney is two O's, Looney,
yeah.
but tune has always been Tune, like the song.
That's true.
And the reason for that is because they were always based around songs. The original Looney Tunes cartoons were Merry Melodies. They were always based, and even Silly Symphonies was what they were kind of making fun of, the Disney thing, and that's what Disney was doing, was these musical based cartoons. So Warner Brothers is like, we got a whole catalog of music, let's resell this shit through these songs, basically. That's how they started. Like, they started making all that shit. So it's kind of funny you mentioned that. I know that's an offside footnote, but since Nick didn't have much to add,
that's a great that's great insight, man. But it also, what you mentioned, they're an answer to Disney, right? I mean, Looney Tunes and Animaniacs is not even like even comparing it to classic Disney of that same era. That it's a completely different kind of content, and that differentiation made them recognizable, made them unique. Despite
not only that, they were ripping on Disney already back then. That was my point too. Like, Disney's going to do Silly Symphonies, where we're going to do Merry Melodies.
No, but I mean, yeah, I had actually completely forgotten. I was mentioned because it mentioned in the chat like the Time Warner, AOL, Discovery. I mean, how many different names have they been attached to?
Well, they initially were.
This whole like switch around they've gone is seriously more convoluted than any X-Men timeline involving time travel.
Well, I mean, look, for the last 50, 60 years, the movie studios have been changing hands from one kind of company to another. It's not abnormal.
Yeah, they're basically Eskimo brothering each other.
Yes, and I mean, yes, so like the bigger version of Warner Brothers at one time was the Time Warner version where it was, Time Magazine mixed with Warner Brothers and they had the publishing and all that shit. The publishing went out the window, right? So like that's where they thought AOL was the future. Well, they were actually probably 5 years too late for AOL, but 10 years 10 years too early for all this other shit that's going on now, right? To where now Discovery was able to be a part of this, AT&T was able to be a part of this, and for better or worse, I think that those two companies have tried to do what they can with Warner Brothers, regardless of what the market has going on right now in it. But I mean, again, I'm curious to see what happens, like everybody else is. I don't want to see any more conglomerations. I think that's already been conglomerated enough with Discovery and Warner Brothers. In fact, I think them splitting up things would make more sense than them actually being bought out. Because Warner Brothers movies needs to be film studio proper. Their television stuff needs to be separated, right? HBO needs to be a television channel again, right? Like they need to quit produce. Go ahead.
It's smart branding. It's smart, like, to develop your company in that way. I don't think of HBO and Warner Brothers as the same branding. I don't think of them as the same product, whether or not they're owned by the same people. I think of them as separate entities, and they should be sold that way. Is what flavor do you want when you go to the store? Pepsi and Coke own just about everything, but they're not all Pepsi and Coke. They have different names, even if they're all owned by those two companies, right? And if somebody buys Warner Brothers, I don't know who's possibly going to buy Warner Brothers for which the sale would even go through, given how massive these companies are. I mean, who would even buy Warner Brothers in a situation in which that company would have a more powerful name than the company they're buying? Like, who is more powerful than Warner Brothers that they would buy Warner Brothers? And that name who bought them now is the first
AT&T
name.
was the first one that I could think
But
of.
you wouldn't call it AT&T Warner Brothers. It'd be Warner Brothers AT&T, right?
Right.
I guess is what I'm saying.
Warner AT&T, yeah.
Yeah. I can't think of any company who would possibly buy them who would be first on that title. It is Warner Brothers Discovery, right? Now you call it Time Warner because Warner Time doesn't really, that's an awkward way to call it. I get it. But otherwise it would have been Warner Brothers then Time, right?
At that time, Time Magazine was huge because they had Time in Life.
That's true. Fair enough.
So like when they bought Warner Brothers, because I'm trying to remember who had Warner Brothers. I think it was a Kinney company before that.
People used to read magazines.
Yeah, and then the publishing side of things was huge. So Warner Brothers was bought up by Time, if I remember correctly. But like their music publishing side was always huge. But the thing with Warner Brothers is like the thing that's a beauty of it is you kind of got to have the major studios there. It really hurts that we don't have 20th Century Fox. It really does, because Warner Brothers was always kind of like the big brother on the block, right? Universal was always nipping at their heels, always, but Universal would manage to always crank out some major hits. So even though Universal wouldn't have as many hits as Warner Brothers, they would crank out shit like E.T., Jurassic Park, movies that would become the highest grossing films of all time at the time when they would come out. So every once in a while, Universal would have this big, huge, just mega sock, right? Fox, same kind of fucking thing. They were this mini, like, not mini, but like they were this, like, every once in a while they'd have these really decent hits. But once in a while they get a sock'em, Star Wars or Alien, for instance, like that Nick's gonna be talking about tonight. But yeah,
they did stuff that the other companies weren't doing. And even if I'm going to be really, really basic here, but The Simpsons, right? When The Simpsons came out, that was a show that nobody else was going to put out but Fox. And I don't know I don't know my history well enough to know Fox. I associate them with Fox.
Well, there is a separation between Fox Television and Fox Movies, but there really wasn't up until the Disney acquisition. But and kind of before that, Murdoch kind of separated Fox News from Fox, the network and the studio. But yeah, anyway, you were saying.
No, but even say television, so like Married with Children, for example, was a sitcom that you would never see out of Universal, and you wouldn't see that out of Warner Brothers either, right?
Well, and Fox didn't make that. Actually, I think it was Columbia, I think, actually made that. But yeah, Fox was the channel that
Oh,
brought it
my
on. Oh
mistake.
my gosh!
I associate it with
Oh,
Fox, right?
Scribe Light's here.
And he's even wearing a shirt like Weird Al because he knows I'm going to say something.
Face reveal.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Dr. Scribe.
How's it going?
How you doing,
Man,
Scribbles?
great to see you.
What can I say? It's a day-by-day process, but here I am, rock me like
Yeah.
a hurricane.
But anyhow, I'm going to finish my point and let you have a say at this. But yeah, Paramount being the big one besides Disney at that time, they were probably the only one that was bigger than Warner Brothers at one point, or Warner Brothers and them were always kind of duking it out for the top of the mountain, more or less. But Disney, they weren't even a big deal until the 90s. Like, yeah, they were a big deal, but it was just, people forget that Disney would only release like 4 or 5 movies a year, right? Like, they didn't release the amount of movies that every major studio would
Only
release.
4 or 5.
Only 4 or 5. Like, people forget that up until they acquired Miramax and until they had, Touchstone and Hollywood Pictures cranking out all these movies. Disney would only crank out a couple movies a year. And in some cases, they wouldn't even crank out that many. Because in some years, they wouldn't even release an animated film. They would re-release an animated film to pad out the time before they had one ready. And they would just do live action stuff in between. That's where The Parent Trap and The Apple Dumpling Gang and all these other things would come into play. But those movies, they'd only release a couple of those a year. Disney did a lot of television stuff too. People forget about that. But anyhow, Scribe, I don't know if you've been paying attention to what's going on here with this whole business with Warner Brothers. If you had a chance to read up on it, but I'm curious what your take is on all this.
Little bit, and I hope I don't end up duplicating anything you guys have said.
So what if
I'm
you
just-
do?
Well, I don't know. Then everything falls apart. I keep thinking, like, who's got the pockets that they'd want to buy this right now? Like you said, Paramount just did that acquisition, or Skydance, the acquisition of Paramount. I don't know if they have the budget for that, and I also don't know if the FTC would be jazzed about another purchase like that in such succession.
Right.
I'm thinking Amazon. Am I too off the base by thinking maybe Amazon's a possibility?
Amazon or Netflix would probably be the two best bets. I don't think you're wrong there. But the only thing that I think is funky about this is it's been brought up a few times by a few different people, and I kept forgetting that, is that Warner Brothers, I guess, is technically a Canadian company.
How's that?
Their headquarters is in Canada. So I don't know if that matters when it comes to U.S. regulation or not. But that being said, continue your thoughts. Yeah.
Well, admittedly, I'm not an expert on international purchases like that, but
Yeah.
I don't think Disney has the gusto to try it. I think they've got too much on their hands with everything they've already bought, and I would think, given how they've screwed up the purchases that they have made between Lucasfilm and Marvel over the last 5 or 10 years, I don't know if they'd be willing to dip into their pockets that deep. But yeah, I don't know. Netflix, does Netflix really want to own that studio? I mean, they've always tried to make it on their own so much, and they've been sort of like a bargain basement.
Last year, I would have said
things.
no. I would have said no. They don't want anything to do with any studios.
Yeah.
But after this AMC deal and the stuff that they're starting to probably get a taste of this theatrical money, that's kind of what prompted Amazon to buy MGM, is they wanted a studio that they could hang out, the shingle on all their movies that they put out theatrically.
Yeah, but
Right.
the only reason to buy Warner
And they wanted a catalog.
is the IPs. Yeah, the catalog, the IPs and things. Yeah, I feel like Amazon's the best bet because they seem to be wanting to. Their original stuff is kind of hit or miss. Am I misremembering? Is Lord of the Rings, was that originally Warner Brothers?
It was, but Amazon bought completely separate rights, and that's what they learned later, was that
Right.
they didn't have the rights to all the stuff that Warner Brothers had.
Right,
Because the Saul Zaentz company was like, hey, you get all these rights, and then Warner Brothers is like, no, you don't.
Yeah, so I think maybe Bezos or whoever's running the shop over at Amazon, they'd want to consolidate their rights to particular properties for this foreseeable future. Lord of the Rings would be a good one if they wanted to, complete their set. And there's a whole bunch of other action IPs in there that they could take advantage of, and that would put them in far more direct competition with Disney, with as many IPs as they own and options they have. And they just shelled out $1 billion for Bond.
Right.
I don't
I don't
why they
disagree
wouldn't-
with you.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm betting on Amazon. I'll say Amazon.
I see if they even threw their hat in the ring, they do have a relationship. It has nothing to do with Lord of the Rings. For those who don't know, Warner Brothers actually does distribute a lot of Amazon's movies and MGM's movies. So like they do, because since Amazon doesn't technically have their own distribution, I think they're starting to, but that's where I'm like wondering, because here's the thing that you're right about, and this is where if any one of these parties buys that we mentioned, that one of these streamers is going to go away too, and that's probably the only good thing here, because that means it's going to get conglomerated into either Paramount Plus, Amazon, Netflix, or Peacock if Universal happens to be the other party. We don't know who these other parties are, and I wonder if it's 3 separate parties from Paramount, or if Paramount's throwing their hat in the ring again. Because I don't know if you've read this article or not. Basically, Paramount's been rejected twice now.
Yeah,
is what we learned from this, and it sounds more like they never even put themselves up for sale. These were unsolicited offers that were probably prompted by Ellison being the first to throw an offer out there.
Yeah.
So that being said, like the way I read this, and I could be wrong, is it doesn't even sound like Warner Brothers is really considering the sale all that much. It still sounds like they're probably going to go forward with the separation instead, which would not change anything then, basically, for the studio.
They're going to spin off some stuff somewhere and divide things.
I think it's going to be television versus film and stuff like that. Yeah,
right.
What I think is going to happen.
Okay. Well, I mean,
because Discovery's always been more cable based, if that makes sense.
Well, I mean, if Zaslav plays up the media on, or the all the hype on this for the sake of upping the selling price of whatever they end up, I mean, if he can take everybody's interest in this property and split it into 2 different things and say bidder for one or the other, and then make, I mean, if you make separate entities out of television and movies, and then they each have their own separate price and they own their separate IPs and things, then he's got 2 possible revenue streams from different bidders coming in, and it's all. I mean, what's his ultimate concern? You would think fiduciary wise, he's there for the shareholders, the shareholder value. And
well, my
if
understanding,
you've got 3 different sharks in the water fighting over the same chum, you can't really beat that. You're not wrong. It's a win-win situation, because even if he doesn't sell it, I mean, is Warner in trouble right now, because it's the one winning studio out of all the other ones. So there's no downside to this. There's no downside for Warner's of this. Yeah.
And Scribe, you might remember me saying this on the morning show a few times too, where I've been saying for a while is that I have never heard once that the studio is up for sale. Nor have I ever heard that Zaslav. Nor have I ever heard that Zaslav has any plans of stepping down. And that's kind of what this article is saying in a lot of roundabout ways. That's why I'm saying by the unsolicited offers here. Mm-hmm. And then they're saying, because my understanding is if they split up the company, that's what none of these buyers want. Right, because that's the whole thing with Ellison, is he wants to swoop in before they do that. And if they do split up the company, then his offer is off the table, is my understanding, or that's going to change things. Because like you said, then it's 2 separate companies. And I'm not saying Ellison wouldn't be interested in Warner Brothers as a company, but he probably wants the television and the movies. Because then it would make him the biggest kid on the block.
Yeah, and you get the headline right there says exactly. It's evaluating acquisition offers. It's not entertaining. It's evaluating. It's like, I don't know, what would you offer? What would you offer? Okay, there's no commitment here. This is all cream cheese for Warner Brothers. It
raises their stock price.
It raises their stock price. It ups their profile. And on the off chance they have a shareholder meeting in the near future and are like, hey, what's somebody willing to pay for it? This is like, I had a friend just as a side thing, a few years ago, I had a friend who was all freaked out because she was working for a contractor for a bigger company. And this bigger company who had worked with her in their mutual business made her an offer to come over to their company. And she's freaking out. She said, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And I said, you're in the perfect position. You didn't seek this. Someone solicited you. You immediately go to your current employer and you say, hey, I've been made an offer. Can you match it or do better?
Right.
Because you're in the perfect position to negotiate, because you're blameless. you didn't do anything. People came after you. So Ellison starts the fire. Zaslav's like, I don't know. What do you guys think we're worth? And then just let the press take off. This is all free advertising. Stock price goes up. If he decides to sell, great. If not, he still has the most winning studio over the last 12 months. And he's got, again, this is all just perfect. Zaslav doesn't have to lift a finger, and he's making money for the company.
Like I said, it's covering up for the fucking Leonardo DiCaprio mess right now, really, if you look at it. Because,
Yeah,
and then on top of it all, like you just said, you pretty much said just about everything I kind of was getting at too at the beginning of this is like they're in the best position right now. And every offer that we know of that's come in from Ellison, their stock is hitting that. So why would he sell at that? You're exactly right. It's like he could just sit here all day and go, yeah, no, we're not going to take that offer. And then the stock goes up a little bit more. And then another offer comes in and the stock goes up more. And it's just, yeah, he can play this game for a few days.
Yeah,
and
he's looking really smart to decline at $20 now that he's over $20.
Exactly. Exactly. Why would he have? Yeah,
Like-
now it's up to 24 and he still declined it. So now it's going to probably climb up again some more. So yeah.
Yeah, and he can milk this for months and be like, well, you know, we've assessed the offers right now, and we're going to go into consideration and deeper negotiations. We'll let you know when something else happens. And drag it out.
Now, what you just said was basically a rewording of what they said.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, at this point, they're doing exactly that. They're just going to sit here and drag this out for a while. If they sell, it's not going to be for a bit. I don't think Ellison has the cheese to bring more cheese into this. I don't think he does. I think after the acquisition with Skydance, I think they gained a lot of baggage from Paramount. And I think that bringing Warner Brothers into that mix is too much.
Well, I mean, the monopoly risk with the FTC. They had so much trouble and so many hurdles to jump just to get the acquisition done in the first place.
Right. Setting
aside all the drama with CBS and everything else, and the reporting and the Kamala Harris video and just the Trump stuff. Ellison is skating uphill on this one. He's even if he had the juice to try to do this, everybody would be giving him the side eye because of the monopoly risks. But all
it's
that
getting to a
does,
point where I'm wondering if he's not a useful idiot and or put up to this to begin with, Scribe. Like what you know what I mean? Like he has no intention of buying the company, but this is just a ploy between the two men because supposedly Ellison's conservative. I have never seen anything to really convince me of that, but
I don't know. Ellison's has always been playing with somebody else's chips.
Exactly.
It's not his money. He doesn't have any stake in it. It's just a game for him. If this was some kind of like, you know, scratch my back conspiracy to drive the price up or something, that'd be amazing. I don't see how that could work, and especially if you're caught doing that, that would.
Oh yeah, I get it. It's the accusation alone is bad, and I'm just kind of spitballing here. That's what I'm saying. He's either a useful idiot in some way, like somebody dropped like a nugget in his ear or some shit.
I think
he's just being greedy, as Brian Barth asked. And that's what I was saying before, is why else would he want it? Because getting Warner Brothers right now, after getting Paramount, which was the company that he's had the best relationship with for all these years, Skydance, I think, also had a relationship with Warner Brothers as well. So if he grabs them too, then that's the two biggest people on the block besides, you know, Disney right now. And that makes them the number one studio at that moment in time. And that's what he wants, to be number one.
Yeah,
so that he can look at Bob Iger and go, fuck you, basically.
I think during Paramount acquisition, I think Ellison got gold fever, got on a spending spree, and he is just an unplanned windfall for Warner Brothers. Just came out of nowhere, lightning bolt from the heavens. He's not gonna succeed in what he's doing without some really crazy tumblers falling into place to unlock that. But in the meantime, like you say, this is just it's all pluses for Warner Brothers.
Look, if anything, it's karma coming back for David Zaslav. Because look, I'm not saying the guy has been perfect. I even see somebody in the chat said something about the Superman IP being destroyed. Look, I don't totally agree with that, and I'm sure there's plenty of people within Warner Brothers who don't agree with that right now, because people forget Superman is still the highest grossing comic book movie of the year. And domestically, that movie played like a bunch of the Avenger films almost. Like, people don't see that, and they're not talking about that because they're talking about how much a quote-unquote a disaster it was overseas, basically, when they see it. Because that's the part they're not talking about, is just because the movie only mustered like $200 million overseas, they're forgetting the rest that it made in the U.S., which was a lot. And it's almost as much as most of these comic book movies usually make.
I mean, I would say Superman Returns actually did damage personally or something like that. I don't think the latest Superman movie like destroyed.
BBS did a lot of damage. People forget.
Yeah. Yes. I didn't like the new Superman movie, but I don't think it damaged the IP in some irreparable way. It's
No.
not right. It's not Luke Skywalker in the Disney trilogy. You know,
It was effectively innocuous. It did no damage.
exactly.
It didn't pump it up into the stratosphere, but it definitely didn't do Batman v Superman.
No, and I gotta address this. Look, it's not that I'm circle jerking Gunn. It's just I'm pointing out the shit that nobody else is and everybody else is ignoring for the longest time now. That's it. Do I like Superman? Yes. Do I like everything James Gunn has done so far? No. I haven't even finished Peacemaker because everybody talks so much about it that it kind of spoiled the whole fucking thing for me, even though I liked it. You know? And I get it. Some people don't like Superman, but again, we also have a problem where a lot of people have been, but their only exposure to Superman is this stoic Jesus allegory Superman, where I hate to tell people that that's not Superman for 90% of his existence. The gee golly shucks big blue boy scout, what we basically got in the James Gunn movie, is Superman for most of his existence. People forget that. But I understand people like different types of Superman, just like they like different kinds of pizza. I don't have a problem with that. But at the end of the day, people are ignoring and they're trying to paint all this doom and gloom on a movie that actually did very well for the most part. Did it do as much as they were probably hoping? No. But it fell within expectations, and that's what I don't think people are giving it credit for. Especially in a time when superhero movies are flopping left and right. Right?
Oh.
Like I for the first time ever, I walked past a Fantastic Four movie this last week and I didn't even think to pick it up or buy it. That tells you the state of Marvel, right? Like I could give a shit about the MCU. And not only that, they put out one of my biggest favorite characters of the Fantastic Four again, right? And I didn't give a shit. Like I could care less. I didn't even look at it, didn't care, wasn't going to pick it up and think about buying it. Because I'll never buy that thing. And if I do, it'll be when it's on the discount Black Friday sale for like $10, maybe. That's a big fucking maybe. Because that's the only time I bought in any MCU movie in the last 5 years. Is they had a steelbook of, I think, Love and Blunder for $10 when Best Buy was like discounting and getting rid of all their Blu-rays. That's the only reason I own it. So I'm like, you know what? I could probably resell this fucking steelbook for $30 if I get desperate or more, because they're technically out of print. So I'm like, fuck it, that's a good investment. So yeah. But other than that, like I'm just sick and tired of this shit at this point. So it doesn't really matter. Superhero movies are done for the most part. But yeah. Anyhow, that being said, Warner Brothers will probably not sell, but we'll find out soon enough when they decide one way or the other. So yeah. Let's move on to the super chats. Let's see what you guys are saying out there. We've got Kalekioki who sends in 2 and says, why sell though? Why not just find a successor? Honestly, I don't think they're going to sell Kalecki, at least not anytime soon. And I don't think David is at this point where he's ready to move on necessarily. Unless anybody else has anything else to say on that.
I mean, if he was going to sell, he'd want to sell while everything's looking good and while things aren't crashing and burning. Unless he sees that coming on the horizon or something. But I guess it depends. I mean, if somebody swoops in and makes an offer they can't refuse, but otherwise he doesn't need to sell.
Yeah. And I'm not so sure how this was illegal today. He didn't put the company up for sale. A bunch of people just made offers. That's not his fault.
Yeah.
Soul Nightmare says Comcast Universal only. They've already got a lot of good real relationship with the park deals. Someone suggests they dump what little Marvel they have for DC, which they should do if Warner Brothers doesn't sell. Honestly, I don't want another conglomeration, Soul Nightmare, but if there was going to be one, like if like we hit like this point where like this many studios just can't survive. Well, one studio is going to have to conglomerate with another for Hollywood to survive or something like that. I think Warner and Universal teaming up would probably have the best chance against like Paramount and Disney to survive, because you're right. They not only do they have a good relationship with the parks, they have a good relationship through and through. And this is where whenever anybody said the Universal buyout, I'm like, I don't know. I'm not saying it couldn't happen, but I'm just not so sure that Universal, like they're already so big And I don't know if the regulations would go through because of the music alone and some of the other stuff. Because CC will be the first to tell you. There's only three major
Universal
companies
and Warner
left.
were combined, they would own more than half the music on planet Earth.
Yeah,
and I think that breaks monopoly laws. Was my point. So like, yeah,
or at least tempts fate with them. Yeah.
So they would have to sell off the music catalog before they could even do that. In which point, what would Universal really want with them other than the IPs and the catalog at that point? And like you said, maybe to throw some stuff into their parks, but what stuff anymore? This is another thing people are not understanding too. And I'm not saying that Zaslav won't sell before long, because guess what? A lot of these properties that Warner Brothers has, they're going to be public domain before too long. DC, a lot of those characters are going into the public domain. The Looney Tunes are going to be going into the public domain.
Well, like the earliest versions of them, right?
Exactly.
Like,
So, I mean, a lot of these things are going to start being like less.
And horror movies, they're going to be horror movies like,
man.
Bugs Bunny
geez.
on a rabbit rampage or something. Yeah.
So keep
Learn a
that in
lesson
mind
from
too.
the way they did not handle Star Trek correctly. Let the fans pump up the value of the property. If it goes into public domain, let some awesome stuff get out there and meme and like viral marketing. And
I have
just
mixed emotions about public domain stuff. Very mixed emotions, because both of you brought up two very good points. Like, it's good that people can kind of do this different versions, but it's also bad that people can do different versions. It's a two-way street.
There'd be some awful shit out there. I'm just like, I think about the way that Star Trek was handled, right? There was a time at which fan films exceeded what the studio could do themselves with the property.
Yes.
And there's no reason why the studio couldn't have taken the best of that fan work and put it on display to empower the IP. They chose not to do that.
Yeah.
Did you see that it just came out the other day, this behind the scenes deal with the Silent Hill Return to Silent Hill movie, and the director, I mean, it's something that shouldn't be bizarre or unique, but it was so bizarre and unique given what we've seen in the last several years that it actually kind of took me aback for a second. The director was like, when I was making this movie, I used the PlayStation 2 music as the fill-in music, but I knew that we could not do this movie. This movie would not work unless we got the original creator of the original game and its composer to make original music for this movie. And you could tell the director is like super fan of the property. He knows the IP. He loves the IP. The guy who designed the original game and made the music for it is sitting there going like, he showed me a copy of the movie even without the special effects in there, and I could see this is Silent Hill. Just like. And I'm like, I was excited. I'm not even a Silent Hill fan, but the idea that you have people behind a production who care about what they're doing, and they care, and hearing someone talk about the importance of adhering to the mythos, to the lore of something, and not talking about, the message I'm going to send, or how many lives I'm going to save. It's like that little clip you see from Lord of the Rings where Peter Jackson's talking about, we did as much as we could to make this a Tolkien movie, to stick to Tolkien and not put our own agenda into it. It's so refreshing to see something like that, and it also just reminds me and kind of makes me sad that we don't hear that much anymore.
Yeah. Oh, let's keep moving on with these super chats here. We have Goddess of Win is in the house. How you doing, Goddess? It says, happy Back to the Future Day. Oh, that's right. I watched it last week.
That's the day.
This is the day Doc and Marty came to the future from 1985. Still no flying cars. Yeah, I bitched about that when I watched Back to the Future too. Yeah. Adam Wolford sent in $2 and says Apple could buy Warner Bros. They could. I just don't think they have any real desire. That's another person that could have thrown their hat in this, and we don't know though. That's a plausibility, but I doubt it.
I think Apple is content to. Well, I mean, I just have this. I've always had the sensation with Apple that they want to make their own mark without having to lean on somebody else. Mm-hmm. They want to be established under their own 2 feet. That's not to say they won't acquire somebody, but I think taking on Warner Brothers, I feel like for Apple it'd be an admission of defeat. Like, we can't do it on our own. We need to buy up some other competition or some other IPs or something. Yeah.
Well, I think the future of their theatrical distribution, if there is any, is going to be like the F1 deal, where they acquire something and then let some other studio acquire the distribution for pretty much what they paid for it. So then they're just gravy in it. Right, gravy training it the whole way with the movies, because I think that's how they're gonna do a lot of these future things from now on. Because And the only reason I think the F1 went to theaters is wasn't it Brad Pitt and them insisted that it go to theaters in the first place, was my understanding. I think I heard something like that. If not, that may be
sounds
something
familiar.
Yeah. So, like, and again, these are just rare occurrences. But if Apple was to decide to do something like that, I guess they could. But I just don't see them wanting to. And then Scott Hughes asked, "How does HBO figure into this, if any?" Well, this is my understanding: is if they separate companies, they're going to separate. Unless I'm totally wrong, they're going to separate like different parts of the company off separately. So then the studio itself will be just a movie studio. The cable stuff will just be a cable division. Music division, I don't know if that'll be separated off too, which if that happens, that's going to be interesting as well. I have no idea how this whole separation will happen or what it'll all entail. But it'll probably look like something like Discovery buying Warner Brothers, and then when they separate the company off, they just basically sucked up all their cable entities. If that makes sense, is what I think is going to happen.
Is HBO's effectively just a streaming service now, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
Honestly.
it is, but it's also it's still one of the biggest cable networks.
Do they make their own original stuff anymore, HBO?
Yes, they do. Well, it's now the thing is instead of having separate stuff for HBO and stuff for HBO Max, that's where Zaslav said come in and said, this is fucking stupid. Starting with the Penguin, these things are going to be on both HBO and HBO Max. So they can actually, it makes sense of why they're spending this kind of money on them.
Yeah, I'm just wondering.
HBO is still pretty big.
Yeah, if you spin off HBO as its own thing, separate from Warner Brothers, the studio, does HBO lose access to Warner Brothers' library if they're bought by two separate entities?
I think the way it'd probably just go for the way it was for the longest time, where they just basically have a good deal with them. Because there was a time where when they were the same company, but like they seemed like there was less of a connective tissue between the two outside of, HBO shows movies and Warner Brothers makes movies. Even though it was a Time Warner company for long. So I'm trying to remember when Warner bought HBO. Because I think they initially, I'm trying to remember who they started as, and then I think then Warner Brothers, I think, bought them sometime in either the 90s, I think it was. Could be wrong. Could be earlier than the 90s. Could be a little earlier. I don't think they always were Warner Brothers Network, but I could be wrong. Somebody correct me in the chat if I'm wrong. But in this scenario, I would believe it would be spun off with Discovery stuff, is my guess. So, yeah, if I had to take a guess on that. But anyhow, that is our last super chat on that. We had one more quick story here. Actually, is our main topic of the day, but it's more of a hilarity than anything. So evidently, we were supposed to get this other Star Wars movie. So Kylo Ben, the Star Wars movie
at this point.
You were getting a Star Wars movie.
Right? I probably had one I didn't even know it. Scribe probably had 5 of them.
Oh, hell. I'm ready to do Knights of the Old Republic, man. Yeah. Me and the director of Primitive War were like this. Yeah, we already had this conversation on Twitter. Yeah, see, just a side thing, the director of Primitive War, he made some comment to some interviewer. He said, I have a great idea for how to do Knights of the Old Republic. And the quote that was in the article said, yeah, it's this great story that takes place after Return of the Jedi. And I made a comment on Twitter. I said, either this guy was grossly misquoted or he's a total poser. And the director of Primitive War responded to my tweet and said, I was misquoted. I am asking for a correction. And I was like, I'm sorry.
Hey.
And now we follow each other on Twitter.
I wouldn't apologize. You're like, oh, well, good. Glad to hear it, because now I don't have to think you're a complete retard.
Yeah, but at least I allowed for the possibility that it was misquoted. That's at least the saving grace on that one.
I mean, I've had to learn my what do you call it, decorum, or however you put it on.
Social media etiquette. It's like always allow for the possibility that someone else made the mistake. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. No. Okay. So this thing, what this is about, kids, real quick. So evidently, I didn't even read this story, but heard the basics. So evidently there was supposed to be not really. So Adam Driver has revealed that Disney shot down a Star Wars sequel centered on Ben Solo despite Lucasfilm being on board. They're on board with every movie. They announce 50 movies a year. Anyway, the Oscar-nominated Oscar-nominated actor, not movie, who played the son of Han Solo and Leia Organa, the grandson of Anakin Skywalker, aka Darth Vader, and later turned into villain Kylo Ren, recently detailed the sequel idea during an interview with the Associated Press. I was only interested in doing another Star Wars I had been talking about doing another one since 2021. Kathleen Kennedy, president of Lucasfilm, had reached out to me, and I always said, with a great director and a great story, I'd be there in a second. I love that character, and I love playing him. Why did you pick a Megalopolis? The Megalopolis actor said he evidently took his idea to filmmaker Steven Soderbergh, adding that the film would have taken place after 2019's Rise. He died in Rise of
Yeah, he
Skywalker.
died. He died.
Well,
He
basically,
super
they
died.
He
would've-
really dies in Disney Star Wars.
Oh, it's
Was
true.
he
Nobody's ever
misquoted?
gone.
Was
so
he
basically,
misquoted?
They would have undone. They would have undone Fall of Skywalker's ending the same way they undone Mando season 2's ending with, oh, this character. Well, they had this big moment, and now the moment doesn't matter anymore because the new thing is out. Wow.
It would have been perfect if just the movie starts with him just walking into camera off screen and they never explain how he got there. He just shows up. It's like, hi, somehow I returned. And yeah, just have Oscar Isaac show up for one scene to say somehow Kylo Ren returned, and then he's just here, and then he's
After Soderbergh and Rebecca Blunt outlined the story concept, they tapped Scott Z. Burns to write the script, which Driver described as one of the coolest fucking scripts I'd ever been a part of. Why do they always say this shit?
I don't understand what anybody thought. Okay, and Adam, Adam Driver, maybe he's got more insight, or maybe they put more effort into the character behind the scenes or something. But Kylo Ren was never an interesting character, villain or otherwise. He was the writing of the character was so lackadaisical between the first film and the second film, and I didn't even bother watching the third film. So maybe something amazing happened, but
No, not really.
I didn't think so. And so it's like, how could you get so invested in this shell of a persona, whether you're an outside party like the audience, who obviously doesn't care, except for the with the Kylo, what do they call it, Raylos people or something? But I mean, I'd love to see the script,
like a
just out of
lifetime
morbid
ago.
curiosity. I would love to know what their rationalization was for his return, or what they thought that the story was going to be with him, because he was a bad guy who was turned into a kind of a good guy and then a bad guy again. Anyway.
All I know is the only thing that would matter is that this movie we saw Adam Driver wear pants that went up to his chest again. That's
Oh
it.
yeah, there you go. Suspenders.
While his
Yeah, they
chest
had
was
suspenders.
exposed. While his chest
That
was
was such an awkward scene.
He had the greatest
there.
chesticles
Very-
I've ever seen on
very
screen in my life.
Last
man.
Jedi. I just remember thinking like, is this like become like a softcore like Gator
Anyway.
movie?
Johnny Long Torso. Yeah.
So the House of Gucci star continued. We presented the script to
House of
Lucasfilm, and they
Gucci.
loved the idea. They totally understood our. Yeah, they're picking like the worst movies, or what the fuck, dude? Understood our angle and why we were doing it. Well, everything
What
seemed
else
to
is
be
he
moving.
known for?
I mean, he's done all
mean-
those like more indie pictures and some other like
Yeah,
what are
like
they gonna do
Black
next?
Klansman or something?
65? Yeah,
Yeah,
like what are they gonna do
65.
next? 65? I mean, like yeah.
Black Klansman.
That was actually a movie that won like some attention at least, and it did decent at the box office. I didn't hate it. The ending was stupid, I think, but other than that, I didn't hate it. I was like, this is probably one of the better Spike Lee movies, despite him.
Aside
But anyhow.
from Star Wars, I think he's best known for that whatever that yelling at Scarlett Johansson movie was.
Yeah, whatever that movie was, that
Marriage
marriage, and yeah, I can't remember what it's called, but something like that. Marriage, I think, is in the title. You think you're right. But anyhow, while everything seemed to be moving full steam ahead at that point, there were few more people Driver needed on board for the film, which was tentatively titled The Hunt for Ben Solo. There you go. You need to make your Hunt for Red October in the name Hunt for Ben Solo poster.
There you go. See, there you go.
Yeah.
There. I'll make it.
You can make
I'll get my
on
Photoshop
it.
out and I'll make it. Yep. All right.
To
The
fully
Hunt for
come
Ben
to
Solo.
life. However, this didn't go to plan once they presented it to Disney execs. We took it to Bob Iger and Alan Bergman, who said no. They said they didn't see how Ben Solo was alive. That's what I just said.
Hey. Wait.
That was that.
Are you telling me the movie executives took a second and thought about accuracy to the lore? Wait a second. What? That's
What do you
insane.
think this is? The search for Spock?
The Hunt for Ben. So was it going to be like Kylo Ren on a vision quest to find his light side goodness
Now
again?
you have two posters to make, Scribe.
Oh yeah, the search for.
The Search for Spock parody version of it and the Hunt for Red October version of it.
Okay, I'll get on the hunt for Red October one. I already have an image in my head of what I
Anyway,
can do with that one.
he added the sequel was a really cool idea. It has no more. It is more so I can finally talk about it. So I don't know what else he said about it, but yeah.
I don't care. I just want Star Wars to go away. Even if I don't watch, I just don't want it to come out like. And that's a weird thing to say 10 years later. I would never thought I'd be in a position. I'll still go, back and read some Star Wars books, some comics. If I could get all those 64, play Shadows of the Empire, I'll have a fucking oakley dokley good times. Feeling like I'm Ned Flanders. I'll watch, the OG trilogy, feel good. But this, I don't give a fuck about. I can't wait to skip this. I'm not going to give this money nor time.
It's not even going to happen, it sounds like.
No,
so
it's
don't
not
worry
gonna
about that.
No, it's not. But anything with the Star Wars name on it is damaged goods to me.
Well,
go
I may have
the fuck away, Disney.
I may have had a friend fix the movie for you.
Uh-oh.
Oh, fuck yeah! Yeah, I found my lightsaber! Let's go kick some Imperial asses!
That's so much better already. How about this?
Anywho, do you still have that bikini you wore for Jabba the Hutt? I think I can sell it on eBay.
You know what you need? Oh, sorry.
Oh, there's more.
I made some fresh cookies for the boys.
Why don't you take this blaster and shove it up your ass?
Okay, I'm out.
That would fix the movie real quick.
That would have been.
Oh, this would fix it too. Bye. He's off.
Fuck off, Kylo, little emo bitch.
Han always shoots first. This is what the real fans wanted, right?
Oh God.
Yeah, the real fans.
I'll take the cookie, Ray.
Keep my name out of your
Some
fucking
lemon.
mouth.
If only they
finished.
close out
That's all I
with
got.
you're a damn Palpatine. Oh, that was great.
It is true. The Palpatine bloodline won.
Yeah.
Yeah, Han only shoots. That's right. He's the only. Han shoots solo. That's right. Yes, indeed. That's all we had with that. That was a fun little story. But I'm glad you got to pop in, Scribe. It was fun to get to hang out with you.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to say hello to everybody. Hope everybody's having a good. It's only Tuesday, isn't it? Jeez.
It is.
Tuesday.
How do you like being on camera, Scribe?
I got used to it a lot quicker than I thought I would. I had a lot of anxiety over, I hadn't been on camera once in 9 years, and then we did this fundraiser the other week. We raised just the final tally was something just slightly above $3,000 for leukemia research. So I was really happy about that. But ever since I'm just like, well, the cat is out of the proverbial bag, so why not?
Oh,
Well, it's good to see you and see you.
Yes.
Awesome. So what do you got coming up? You got any TEDx's or anything you want to plug?
Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Next episode of TED Excellence. Don't have one picked out yet, but heaven knows I've got plenty to choose from. I didn't plan on wearing. Well, I mean, I put this on because I had it, and I was
normal Al Yankovic.
Yeah, I wanted to find the and this is for some game nerds. I wanted to find the matching shirt from Max Payne 3, the shirt that he wears when he's running around in Brazil or whatever. But I couldn't find that one. But I saw this. I think it was at Old Navy or something. I thought I've never had a Hawaiian shirt before. I want that one. So I got that a couple of years ago. But
really,
and then yesterday did a DEI Death Watch episode, and I was happy to see that finally anyone with DEI on their resume is now a mark in their disfavor, which for individuals, I have a certain amount of sympathy, because if you have spent 10 years doing one thing and now it's no longer wanted and it actually it acts as a demerit against your opportunities for employment, I feel sorry for you, bud. At the same time, glad that this has kind of gone by the wayside seemingly. But there's a couple stories on that, and so that's about that for now.
Awesome sauce. And Nick, you got Toxic Tuesday coming up in about 45-ish minutes.
Around 8:30, so
Oh,
a
8:30.
little
So
over
yeah,
an
you're like
hour, so it's a
a little
ways
over an hour.
away.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah,
Sorry.
but it's all good. Either way, can't wait. We're talking Alien tonight. Yes, the
Ooh.
Alien singular flick, one of the greatest movies of all time. I'm excited about talking about it because it's my favorite Alien movie.
Excellent. CC, anything you want to plug?
Yeah, the Professor R2 is away tonight, so I'll be
Oh.
helping fill in on the Night Owl
Oh, nice.
with any other friends and guests who may appear.
Oh,
So you can catch me over there on Price of Reason Live sometime later this evening. Was 4 hours from now, about 3.5,
Oh.
4 hours from now.
well, say hi to Price for me. I won't be able to attend, but have fun.
Yeah, we'll do.
All right. And with that, I want to thank everybody out there in the chat. I want to thank all the members, of course, and the mods for all your help. And Scribes, good seeing you. And Nick and CC, as always, thank you so much. And take care of yourselves and each other. Happy Back to the Future Day, as Goddess Wim reminded us. Take care of yourself. Good day.
Cute kitty.